Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Michael Noland here, and tonight I want to talk about the rock band Yes. They have a brand new album coming out here in May, Mirror to the Sky, and we've gotten one advance cut so far, cut from the stars as a matter of fact, and I wanted to talk about this cut, what this might be promising as a brand new album, and where Yes is as a band now that Alan White has passed away, and of course our beloved Chris Squire, as well as not having John Anderson as their lead vocalist. First of all, let's get one thing straight. John Anderson has usually been their lyricist, and that has always been part of the charm for me. Although Alan White was not my favorite Yes drummer, sorry, Bill Bruford gets that, but when he did join, I loved him. I was already a fan of his work with John Lennon. And of course, my favorite member of the band. We all have our favorites. John, Paul, George, or Ringo, right? Oh, I love Paul. No, I like John. You know what I mean? My favorite member of Yes was always Chris Squire. And not just because I'm a bass player as well, but because of the way he almost reinvented that damned instrument as much as Paul McCartney did before him. But that was then, now is now, and the band now consists of former members who had joined at various times and one original member, Steve Howe, I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'll call him Howe until I hear otherwise. But Steve Howe is pretty much the leader de facto in the band these days. Now, they put out an album not too long ago, and evidently it got fairly good criticism from some of the critics. I didn't even listen to it, folks. Once Chris Squire was gone from that band, I just wasn't interested, especially since they seemed to not want to have John Anderson on board. Now, Yes isn't only a rock band that has provided me with tremendous listening pleasure over the years, but they're also one of my favorite bands for another reason. You see, they do not sit back on their haunches in any way, shape, or form. And by that I mean, when they've had to change due to personnel changes, due to difficulties in the band, they have changed, but they have always changed with memberships that offered to the band creativity. Now, think about that. A lot of bands get new people in who can play the old parts so that they can tour endlessly, giving us their jukebox versions of themselves. We've talked about that on this channel at least a dozen times. But not Yes. No, they are always creating. Whether you like that particular latest creation that they're putting out or not, they're always creating, folks. Now, of course, the album cover caught my attention, but you know what? When I looked up some of the information on this album, Roger Dean be praised. I love Roger Dean. I'm a bit of a graphics artist myself, and I gotta tell you, there's only two artists that really affected how I draw. Roger Dean was one, and Jack Kirby of Marvel Comics predominantly was the other. And you know what? At first look, you just see a guy on a pile of rocks looking up into the sky, don't you? With a ribbon of the Milky Way going across. But I found out that's not at all the picture. And once I learned how to look at this picture, it totally upped my respect for Roger Dean as an artist tremendously. You see that ribbon in the sky there that many artists usually put in their pictures to represent the thicker, bulkier part of the Milky Way that shows up in the sky? That's the line of horizon, folks. And everything below that line of horizon is a lake reflecting, a crystal clear lake reflecting what is above it. Now look at that character on the rocks. See that bit of lake underneath him? How high are those rocks? Oh my God, what a great album cover. One of Yes's very best album covers ever in their history. Now, evidently, there's going to be a theme to this album, Mirror to the Sky, and then the one pre-released cut that I'm aware of that is called Cut from the Stars. All right, now we're talking. This is definitely a classic rock approach. And what about that track, Cut from the Stars? Well, it starts off with a very simple orchestration, and then the full band arrives. Now, there's a couple of things that I love about this cut. First of all, the melody, all right? I'm a melody kind of guy. You've got to have melody in your material. It's got to be memorable, and it's got to be original. And when I hear that song, those three areas are covered, baby. Now, the lyrics aren't quite up to par, not what you would get from John Anderson. They use the term pale blue dot, again, to describe the earth. How freaking droll. I mean, come on. John Anderson's cat could have come up with those lyrics. But you know, overall, the lyrics aren't bad. It's just that little things like that just kind of bug me when I hear and I know what this song could have been. And yet, what it is quite good in itself. Matter of fact, it's excellent. As far as vocals go, the guy pretty much sounds like John Anderson, so you can't complain with the vocal sound that Yes has. Oh, and by the way, this song was written by Billy Sherwood and John Davison. So we can see this band is still writing original music with newer members that are not from the original Yes. And you know what? As long as a band does that, they're still a valid band in my book. Now, in the past on this channel, I've stated my concerns about Yes actually being Yes with only one original member. And to tell you the truth, I admit it, folks, I actually didn't listen to their last album, and I had kind of written them off, to be honest with you. I thought the bloom was well off the rose at that point. Now, another thing that's really cool about this song are the bass lines. They're fantastic bass lines, very inventive, very melodic, and almost Chris Squire sounding. My only complaint is, and I'm not sure what they're using, what particular bass they're using, but it doesn't sound like the Rickenbacker that Chris always played through, and that was part of his distinct sound. I'm hearing some high ends that would ring out with Chris Squire's bass playing that don't quite ring out during this recording. However, with that one caveat said, this is some great bass playing, very inventive, busy, and yet doesn't ever get in the way of the vocals. How many people can do that these days? The song in general is a wonderful song. Like I said, it's melodic. It's got enough weight to it that even your most hardcore Yes fans are gonna find this cut wonderful. Now, there's going to be 9 cuts on this album, and the album will last 1 hour and 4 minutes. Now, I've said in the past, I think that it's time bands start embracing the very technology they've been using, and this is an excellent example of what I'm talking about. A prog rock band is the perfect kind of band to put out longer albums, because that's what you can do with CDs these days. To me, the CD has never, ever been properly utilized as a media. Instead, we get most bands. There's a few bands that have broken with that, but most bands put out about a 40 to 45 minute album. A mentality that comes from the 60s when you couldn't get more than 22 minutes aside for a total of about 44 minutes per album. And with vinyl becoming popular again, I think most bands are trying to put that 4 to 6 songs on a side, 44-minute album. But with a band like Yes, man, that is limiting. Now, I don't know if the rest of this album is gonna hold up to this one cut, but I'm gonna tell you something. If it does, get ready. There's gonna be a brand new Yes album that's going to hit my top 5 list for sure. All right, so there's an album I'm looking forward to for 2023. No doubt, brand new material by a great band. The one pre-release sounds wonderful. Show us the way, oh Steve Howe. You know what? There's more to look forward to in 2023. Guess who is touring in 2023 and who's kind of backing him up? Willie Nelson. Now you guys know I have my doubts about him belonging in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but guess who's joining him at times on his 2023 tour? For 3 of those shows, you will get Robert freaking Plant and Alison Krauss. They are still touring, supporting their wonderful brand new album. And on another 3 shows, you'll get John Fogerty. Oh my goodness. You know, this has been a win-win year for John Fogerty. He just got back personal control of his songs. He now owns them, folks, which he should have many decades ago. But he's out on tour. He's joining Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson himself, one of the greatest singer-songwriters in history, as well as Government freaking Mule. Oh man, I wish I could see this. It's not going to be in my area. All right, but you know what, folks? If you see this, please drop into the channel and let me know how those shows are. That's got to be an amazing concert to look forward to. You know, I'm starting to second guess my so-called protest about Willie Nelson being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what? I said so in that video, by the way, that he is one of the original outlaws, and an outlaw mentality is part of something that both rock and roll and country music share. Now, don't tell me about the hip-hops who've got the same outlaw mentality. That's gangsta mentality. That's a whole different thing. Outlaws have a code, baby. And Willie Nelson, who I've always been a fan of as far as his songs, now for the first time, I really want to see this guy live. What about you? All right, that's it for the video tonight. I hope you guys are all doing well. We're here in California and hoping to survive not having to call an ARC for rescue. But I want to thank all of our new viewers who have been showing up, those thumbs ups. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps the YouTube algorithm better identify the channel grows and all of that, you know, and that's always good, man. The tribe grows when the channel grows, and we get more and better and even more diverse dialogue in the comments. Now, if you haven't joined the channel yet, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it is so freaking easy. All you have to do is hit that subscribe to the tribe button, then tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my future videos, whether I'm talking about classic rock, things that happened yesteryear, or classic rock today, or live music today, as well as where we are going as a rock audience into the future. All right. That's it for tonight, folks. I'm Michael Noland, and together we are always the tribe. And I'll see you in my next video.